Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 35 of the Locksmith podcast. Today I'm here with Zach. I think Angela's still on vacation here, so I think today we're gonna have a little NBA, NHL, and college basketball. Um, these will be for the NIT tournament, and then we're also gonna give you a little future that we like in the for March Madness. So we're gonna kick things off with NBA. I'll start off with a quick three-star. And today for our three-star will be Houston Rockets on the money line. They're playing the Magic, and that line is a minus 155. Uh, this is a two-game series, but I'd say go with the splitter here, maybe take the Magic. Don't like it because Magic just came back from a five-game road trip. So we're taking the Rockets, and the Rockets have been on a tear, winning seven straight and recently beating the Magic by 13 a little over a week ago. So I love the Rockets here. Their starters dominated that last game, four out of five of them scoring in double digits. Then you had Steven Adams come off the bench, dropped a quick double-double in 20 minutes. Uh, Rockets are just they're a heavy out like rebounding team. They're the best in the league. They out rebounded them by 20 last game. So I expect no different tonight. I like the Rockets to continue that hot streak that they're on and get a dub here. So hit the Rockets on the three-unit play minus 155. And I'll swing it over to Zach for a two-star.
Yeah, so for our two star tonight, we have Portland plus 4.5 at a minus 110. So in this one, you got third game of a three-game series. Grizzlies took the first two pretty easily, beginning of the year. Both these teams are in interesting spots. Grizzlies are definitely a playoff team. Portland is, you would think the season's pretty much done, but they're still fighting for the play-in spot. Only a couple of games out still. Um, but these two teams are in different spots. Ja Morant is out tonight, which is a big reason why we're back in Portland, especially too when Portland has yet to take one in the series. And this Grizzlies team is first in points, but this Portland team has done very well defensively as of late. They're ranking in the top 10 in defensive rating over the last month and a half. Tomani Kamara was named Defensive Player of the Month in the NBA too this past month. So they're really tearing it up. Pretty much the way that I like to look at it as well is that the Grizzlies are struggling too defensively. They're starting to make it. They're starting to pick it up because like when you look at all their ranks, you're like, oh, they're top whatever in every category, but they're 26th in points. So they're tearing everything up, but they keep letting up points. So I think this one's going to stay a little bit closer. I think the big thing that I'm looking at as well is their turnovers. The Grizzlies let up a lot of turnovers. They have a lot of young pieces on this team. So, I mean, right now they currently rank 27th in turnovers. So even though they are a playoff team, every team has their flaws, and that's their flaws. And I also think that because Portland's big, they are going to match up well with the Grizzlies. They're going to have Donovan Clingan to match up with, and they're going to have Duop Reith, who's going to do his thing and just do enough so that it's going to affect guys like Santi Aldama and guys like Zach Edey to keep them from these extra possessions for the Grizzlies. So we're going to take Portland plus 4.5 at a minus 110 for the two star tonight.
Love that. Nice and safe there too with the spread. Right now we'll kick it right into NHL. And I'll hit you with a three-star, and it will be the Minnesota Wild on a three-way money line minus 110 versus the Kraken. So we just got to win in regulation here. Um, they're playing the Kraken. The Kraken on a back-to-back here. They just won yesterday 6-2 against the Blackhawks. Love the fade teams in this spot, especially when they're not a top team in the league and when they don't have two strong goalies. So with that being said, backup Philip Grubauer should get the start tonight for the Kraken, and he's been struggling this year. He's 7-15 and one record, with a .87 save percentage and a 3.6 goals against on average, which is horrible. In the Wild, coming off a dub 2 days ago against the Kings, 3-1. If you watch that game, it kind of felt like a playoff game. Low scoring, ton of hits, ton of block shots, and with playoffs right around the corner, these playoff teams and that are in the hunt too, they're going to start kicking into high gear and start playing some playoff hockey, which is a much slower paced game, and that fits the Wild's game here because they like to play a slow, methodical hockey, making the right play and just not forcing turnovers, blocking shots, and keeping it very simple. So I love the Minnesota Wild here on a three-way money line minus 110 against the Kraken. So lock that in for a three-star. Zach will hit you with a two.
Yeah, for the two start tonight, we are going with the Toronto Maple Leafs money line at a plus 105. Taking on the Colorado Avalanche. This is one of our series splitters. The Avs took the first game just about a week and a half ago in a 7-4 game. Not too upset with Toronto here. The first time they played them, they were up 4-3 with 8 minutes left, let up a goal. Couple minutes left, let up a power play goal, two empty netters, make the 7-4. So they had the lead on these guys towards the end of the game. So that first game was a lot more competitive than what the score says. But Toronto's been kind of a bumpy road. They've lost 3 out of 5, but they're starting to gain their footing again. They are scoring 3.2 goals a game. They're giving up less than three. They're at 2.9 currently. And the Avs are kind of in the same spot. The Avs started off pretty rocky, and then you go look at their stats, and they got a 3.34 goals against or goals forward and a 2.8 goals against. And then you look at their records, and they're just one win apart. You got 41, 24, and 3, and then 40, 24, and 3. So these two teams have been pretty even. So they're very much so competing well. In this case, when you got two even teams, Colorado's already won one. And this is Toronto's chance to take one here, especially at home tonight. And the value here is very well. It's very good that Toronto is the underdog. It's very rare that Toronto is an underdog at home. So right here, we got to take this value and kind of run with it. So, like I said, series splitter, two-star Maple Leafs money line, plus 105, pretty self-explanatory. And we're going right into it.
Oh yeah, love it. Love that pick. Now we'll start with some college basketball, which is
Mhm.
going to get interesting. It's going to get very interesting here. But in the NIT, we're going to be taking George Mason minus 6.5 and a minus 105. That'll be a three-star. They just lost in the A10 championship to VCU in a tight game that was 68-63. They didn't shoot the three ball that well, or no, they did shoot the three ball pretty well. The only thing that hurt them was their best player, Jalen Hines, getting into foul trouble early. So that limited him a lot. But this team is insane at home, and that's where they're playing a home game tonight. But on average, they let up 63 points, which is 12th lowest in college basketball. They're 17-1 at home this year. And when they win at home, they win on average by 14.5 points. And we only need 6.5 tonight. And they're playing Samford. And when Samford loses on the road, they lose on the average by 9.5 points. So I think George Mason is an absolute lock tonight. They're also a fast-paced offense. They just like to get it down, throw it up, get some shots, get back down, play defense, get easy steals, and just rinse and repeat. And that's why I love George Mason tonight. So lock them in as a quick three-star. George Mason minus 6.5, minus 105. Zach hit him with it too.
Yeah. So for the two-star, we're going to go with Utah Valley plus 7.5. Um, they're going to be taking on San Francisco tonight, excuse me, as they travel for the NIT. As we talked about, Utah Valley went 17-2 in conference play at the WAC, and Utah and San Francisco went 14-6 in the WCC, the West Coast Conference. Both these teams pretty even, pretty legit. Uh, I think the big one here is very similar to what you said about George Mason. Utah Valley coming off a loss at the conference final against Grand Canyon in an 89-82 game. San Fran, even though they are the higher seed, kind of in the same boat, playing in the WCC semifinals, they lost to Gonzaga. In this one, I've got two very good defensive team or very good offensive teams, slightly good defensive teams. I think the thing that I like the most is that Utah Valley has the height here, and they have the deeper team and the more experienced team. Whether or not San Francisco can score a little bit more, I'm not too worried about it. San Francisco had an average victory margin against conference opponents of right around 4-5. They were blowing out they're blowing out the kind of crappy teams, but when you look at when they played some better teams, they weren't doing too well. So in that case, I think for this one, just because San Francisco, excuse me, oh my God, I can't say that. Um, since they don't play too well and they give a lot of points at home, especially as I've noticed that they're giving up right around about 75 points at home. I do expect Utah Valley to hang around in this one. I do think that 7.5 points is a little bit too much here, and I think this could be a trap. Could be a trap game on that 7.5. So I like what Utah Valley's rolling in with. Dominic Nelson, watch out for him. That is someone that is going to be looked at by some scouts tonight. Don't be too surprised. They've projected him late second round pick. Could be Mr. Irrelevant in the NBA this year. Who knows? But he's got that dog in him, or in this case, that Wolverine. So taking Utah Valley 2-star plus 7.5 at minus 110 for the 2-star.
Love that. They've been solid all year. But
Mhm.
get into got March Madness starts in a couple days, starts tomorrow. It's gonna be fucking crazy. I can't wait for this. It's there's gonna be some wild games, just to say the least.
Yeah.
But I got a little something here, a little future. It's a team to win 3 games. They gotta do is just get reach the quarterfinals. And basically when I look at this, I look at it as kind of a money line bet just because it's a 2 seed and they have to play a 15, and after that they would have to play either a 10 or a 7, which I think they're a lot better, but it's going to be Michigan State to reach the quarterfinals at a plus 160. I just love the pace that MSU plays with. They try to run teams down and tire them out. They might not be the best 3-point shooting team, but they have incredible depth from guards to bigs. They basically have 2 starting 5s. Uh, the size advantage that they're going to have against these teams is like it's not going to be unfair. It's just they have so many guys that can rotate in and out of lineups where they're never going to be hurt for on size. They're always going to have 2 big guys in. So
Mhm.
and they have solid guards. Once again, they can't shoot great, but they're incredible on defense. All these kids are super athletes. Like Cohen Carr might be a name you never heard of, but this guy is ridiculous. He's gonna lock down any single person, and he's gonna be flying to the rim, catching alley-oops left and right. So if if they beat Brian, which obviously should happen, it's a 15 against a 2. Then they would face either New Mexico or Marquette, which I think they have the size advantage there. So I love that pick. And like I said, I think this is like a money line pick. And that last game, they would have to face Iowa State, who was a 3 seed. And I'll take MSU at a plus 160. And that's how I'm thinking about it is if they get there, it's basically a money line bet plus 160 against Iowa State. And that game's probably not going to be a plus 160 for MSU. It's probably going to be that could be a pick 'em game for all we know. But I love MSU to get to the quarterfinals at a plus 160, so lock that one in. And I think Zach's got a little future for you as well.
Yeah. So with this one, we're gonna throw you a little bit more value today. So I fixed the camera a little bit, but we're going to give you VCU to reach the Sweet 16 at a plus 350. So VCU starts off this one against BYU, and you have a 6 versus 11. And right now, the spread in this game low. It's very low, and it's that low for a reason. 2.5, and you're 6 seed, and you're almost the underdog. There's a reason for this. VCU comes into this from the A10, pretty solid conference of about 16, 17 teams, and they are built. They're built for March. And I mean, when you look at this roster, I mean, this is exactly what I'm looking at when I'm looking at a team trying to make a run. You got freshman center who's learning, doing pretty well, averaged about 5 and 5 this year, behind another center on their bench who's not too bad, but he's a junior as well. And then I'm looking at the rest of the starting lineup. Senior, graduate, senior, senior. Let's go to the bench. Senior, junior, senior. One freshman. A lot of these kids are all transfers. I'm looking at Max Shulga as well, which if some of you guys are Mountain West and Utah State fans, and maybe you guys got to go against Utah State, well, I'm sorry, because Shulga lit up at Utah State for 4 years and then said, I'm going to VCU to follow their coach. I guess Utah State's coach went to VCU in the offseason, or so that kind of made sense. But I mean, you got a lot of transfers on this team, and they are not only are they solid defensively, offensively, they find rhythms, they share the ball, and two, like we said, height isn't a problem. You've got their two biggest players in their front court are both 6'11", so there's no issue there with height. Your guards are 6'4", 6'5", and they can work the ball. They play well defensively, and their coach Odom, no, he's not very shy to upsets. He's the one that coached UMBC to beat Virginia. Guy knows what he's doing come March. And since then, he's taken those promotions and he's ran with it. I think a big thing too that I do like about this game is that um, VCU also has a lot more to play for than BYU. If these guys do beat BC or BYU, excuse me, in the first round, they play Wisconsin, Montana second round. And if you give me VCU versus Wisconsin, you can just smell another upset in that game because that's a game that Wisconsin shouldn't lose, but they like to lose. And if you're a Wisconsin fan, you know this. But as again, too, with the world and with the way things change, NIL is a big thing. And there's a big claim that came out this year that if you are a VCU basketball player, you can profit from how the team does. And there's a big thing that said for most schools, 70% of the money goes to their football program, 15% goes to basketball, and then 15% goes to other sports. Well, if you didn't know, VCU has no football team. So where does all the money go? Straight to their basketball program, which means about pretty much every player on that team, with the exception of the bench warmers, etc., averages right around 400 to 500K each. Now, if you make an NCAA tournament run, including a conference championship, which they also won, that bag is going to increase. And you bet your ass these kids are playing not only for, their own legacies here and what they can do at VCU, but they're also kind of playing for a contract, hypothetically, because they're playing for a lot of money and a lot more money than these other teams are. So there's nothing more that I like than a motivated team and a well-coached team as well. So VCU to the Sweet 16, plus 350, and we're gonna roll with it. And it wouldn't be the first time either. Wouldn't
Oh,
be the first time either for VCU. So
I didn't
we're
know
getting right
about
at it.
that. That's actually wild. That
Yeah, I mean, I had heard about it beginning of the year, and then
Mhm.
I want to say it was one of the Barstool guys brought it up, and it was on like a Barstool gambling post where they put like the exact amount that each player could
Oh
make from
wow.
this year
Huh.
with the revenue generation because they pull in right about 4 to 5 million.
Wow.
But
That's
I don't know
wild.
if that includes winning a conference title and then how deep you go in the NCAA tournament. And then it's like, you've only got, I think they have like 13 players on their roster, but only like 10 of those guys are scholarship players.
Mhm. That's
So
crazy.
those bench warmers won't make too much. They'll make enough where it's like, okay, like you're a walk on, but all those scholarship guys are going to get paid. So they're going to make a lot of money. Then
They
because
go
they got
on
a
a
football
run, man.
program,
They go on a
that's what
run.
I mean.
Those kids are gonna
Well,
cash.
And that's what we like about it too. And it's like, BYU is solid, and you've talked about BYU, I've talked about BYU, very
Mhm.
good team, but they're not that great defensively.
No.
And that's kind of a big thing, like when they played Iowa State recently, I think we said the score of that game was 96-92.
Yeah. All they can do is
And
shoot threes.
they're,
That's all they can do.
yeah. And you got a solid team that can cover the perimeter in VCU. And then you've got two 6'10" kids down low that are going to limit the size and limit the ability of BYU's bigs. And it's going to be a lot tougher for BYU than I think people think. And
Yeah.
that's like the same thing for the Wisconsin game. It's like Wisconsin's solid, but you're going to have two very defensive heavy teams playing each other. And I think Wisconsin might struggle with Montana. Montana's solid as well. And maybe I'm wrong. With that being said, Montana might lose that game by 25, but I do think they're going to give them a tough time. I just don't think people are going to see VCU coming. And then if they do get to the Sweet 16, they're playing Bama. See ya. They're gone.
Yeah.
See ya if they play Bama in the Sweet 16. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
But these first two round games, it's just shaping up for them basically, and I think it's just two very good matchups that kind of fall their way. So.
Oh yeah. Lock those in, boys. Holy shit. Actually
hmm.
sweet. So I think that you have anything else or
That's probably about it. I would say probably, I want to say next Wednesday or next Thursday, whenever we can.
Mhm.
We're going to give you a MLB futures podcast. And we'll probably give you a couple. I mean, I know I got plans to give you a couple real ones, and we'll do some there, and then I'll give you a couple fun ones. We'll give you guys some long shot futures as well, or at least I will for like the most part, because I want to see if those long shot futures got a shot. So, but yeah, we'll
Yeah.
throw that in because it's like a long season. It's all we got. So, I
Yeah.
mean, we like talking about it. So,
MLB is, man, it's a drag sometimes every single day. But I mean, I looking back at our NHL and NBA futures too, those a couple of those are looking pretty good right now. Those are on track. So we do well with these
yeah,
futures. We did very well with NFL
yeah.
futures too. So
Yeah, it's going to be close. I know. My my Red Wings are doing well in the NHL, and then their schedule kind of went tough, and they're still in it, but it's going to be tough for them to kind of pull through. But Matty Beniers got 17 last night, and I think he needs three more in like 12 or 13 games, and it's more than possible. And I think he's going to get it, and I'm waiting for it. But NBA, I mean, Naz Reid's doing well, but I think it's Peyton Pritchard's award to lose. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I cursed Orlando. I put them on the IR for the entire year, man. I mean, I can't even say nothing. And they're still only like a game out of the division because the South is so bad, like I had
So
talked about.
bad,
Like I
dude.
think like Atlanta's the 8 or the 7 seed, I think, and they're like 32 and 38 as well. I was like, oh my
He
God.
are in like a 5 or 6 game losing streak or 7 game losing streak right now. I took them to miss
Hmm.
playoffs at a plus 250. That was a absolute lock. I love that. And then Tyce Jones over 7.2 assists on average for the whole season. He's at like 5.9. So he needs to get going a little bit. But
Yeah.
I had Frankie Vetrano too over 26 and a half goals, and he's leading Anaheim right now, I think at 20 or 21. So we only need a couple more goals there too. So that'll be two future goal scorers cashed. That'll be sweet. But yeah, that should wrap up podcast number 35. Lock those bets in, get them going. Let's get pumped for March Madness. Drop in the comments who you guys are taking this year. Uh let's see those tickets. Let's see the lines. We'd love to see all that stuff. But thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next Thursday. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, no, 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 no. I am back from vacation and I'm here at the tennis locks. Don't you forget, okay? I'm going to lock you in. Both of these are for Miami tournament. One we got women's, one we got men's. Let's get right into it. Scheduled for 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, March 19th. We have the 3-star women's Miami, Victoria Azarenka, minus 3.5 at a minus 120 versus Angelina Kalinina. Two good women playing this match here. Azarenka is number 32 in the world, and Kalinina is number 55. Realistically, Azarenka is more like a top 10 player, though. She can literally beat anybody on tour, and Kalinina is not that level. She is good, but she cannot beat everybody on tour like Azarenka can. Azarenka has also been playing better recently, while Kalinina is 3-8 in her last 11 matches. And within her 3 wins in that time, she was a minus 200 or more in 2 of them. And the other one was a 50-50. She was a minus 110. So I'm not really that impressed with how she's playing. And Azarenka is simply just better overall while being 2-0 against her and much more powerful. So I'll definitely take her spread this match. So Victoria Azarenka, minus 3.5 at a minus 120 will be the 3-star. Now, on to the good old 2-star for ATP Miami, scheduled at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time tonight. We have a 2-star Thiago Seyboth Wild money line plus 135 versus Quentin Haley's. Both good players here as well. Diego is actually ranked number 96 in the world, but he does play much better than his rank. And Haley's is ranked number 57 in the world, which is pretty fair for how he plays. This is their first head-to-head match, which is being played on hard court. And Thiago, when he's dialed, would pretty much beat Haley's when he's dialed. I think Thiego's best is better than Haley's best. And if Thiago can keep his service game locked in, I believe he can handle Haley's in straight sets, which means 2-0. And I mean, Haley's has been playing very well as of late. Thiago a bit shaky, but that's because Thiago has been playing the top of the top competition very often. And I believe Haley's is actually a step down from his recent competition, which I think is going to help Thiago out in the end and get him the dub. So lock in a little 2-star, Thiago Seyboth Wild, money line, plus 135. And those are your tennis locks, both from WTA Miami and ATP Miami. Lock them in. Let's cash out, fellas.